Hello. If you've come to this through Google Plus, which you likely have, you're probably from the Blender community on Google Plus. I said I was going to try to do sort of a talky, mumbly talk through of my ear sculpting process, which is admittedly not a great process as of yet, but I think I'm getting there. So I'm gonna start. Oops. Don't want the lights visible. Okay. So I have a reference image up here of my ear, which I could probably use more reference images, but this isn't about my reference images. This is about just the general ear sculpting process. So starting with the cube. This is Blender 2.77, which is 2.7 RC1, which the UI is a little. It's gonna take me some time to get used to, but I think it's sort of clay. Turn on my dynamic topology. Turn off smooth shading. I find 15 pixels. Whoops. Works best for me for this sculpting, at least for this process especially. No. My keyboard doesn't have, that didn't even work. My keyboard doesn't have a numpad, so I'll be using the actual options screen for changing views when I change views, which isn't very often. But, okay, yeah. 2.77 had some weird stuff like there's these new things for the detail refine method, so divide, collapse, and it's different than it used to be. There's also this gravity thing, and I have no idea what that does. If anybody knows what gravity does, please say so in the comments, because I just don't even know. It doesn't make any sense to me. But anyway, on to my method. At least the method that I find kind of works well enough. So I start with clay. That is on subtract, because that's not clay at all. Start with clay. Sort of build up a little bit. Roughly circular patch, which seems like an odd idea, but there is some method to this madness. I mask out like a semicircle there. Smooth this part here out a little bit. There, that's not. Yeah, and then grab the grab brush, which is almost my nemesis, but I just grab stuff and pull it up. I've tried doing this with the snake hook, and it did not have effect. Did not work the way that I would have liked it to. So grab it is, and then kind of smooth things out a little bit. But yeah, just basically, grab the ear, grab from that bulge, rather, and just kind of shape it into something that looks vaguely ear-like. And yeah, clearly the topology is getting really distorted, but that's why we use dynamic topology. Because once we get stuff where we want it, that's not where I want it, and bugger. Screw that up a little bit. Okay. Let's mask more of this here. I'm trying to do a separated earlobe, so Yeah, just kind of grab it out and move things around until it looks vaguely ear-like. Still some problems going on there. This is not going to work as well as before. Things about sculpting in Blender. I mean, I do really like sculpting in Blender, but I would prefer. There are things that I would prefer that I think would make it way better, in my opinion. Mostly, I think that the not having I don't know if anybody watching this has used ZBrush or Sculptress, but they have this the brush basically sort of projects onto the surface of where you're using it, and that would be a really cool thing, I think, if Blender had. Bring that back up. But I don't know if it's not in Blender because it's just really hard to do, or if it's not in Blender for some sort of legal reasons. Okay, let's smooth that down. So that back part here looks pretty hard. The back is kind of my nemesis, really. Back and the top. That top's a little bit much, but okay, I can actually go over to. That's not the right button. The fill brush and just fill that in, and that gives me some more geometry anyway. I'm gonna crease that. Oops. Oh shit! What the hell just happened? What is that? What did I do? Oh, I changed the draw mode. That was weird. Not my intent. I didn't even know what button I pushed. Alright, so crease that part back in. Another thing that I would really kind of love would be some sort of like squeeze brush. I don't know, because I mean, you can see like this is way too thick for an ear, and like actually squeezing that down is not a thing that's easy to do. Okay, I'm just going to use clay and just basically build up some volume on the surface here, get some volume and some that's going to smooth back down. Some volume and some topology so that I have a little bit more to work with. Smooth that around. Smooth that down too. Yeah, I don't know how to. I mean, I can use grab and sort of like move stuff up like that, but that doesn't. It just looks kind of crappy to me. So if anybody has a better idea how to do that, please let me know, because that's one of the things that has been sort of bothering me. Alright. Round that out a little bit. Okay, so now that I have kind of my basic ear flap pulled out of the mesh here, that's actually going to add a little bit more here. We're going to view off some more. Okay. I think... God, I really, really hate the way that looks in the back. Mask. That. No. Let's do that. Increase. Smooth all that out. I am using a tablet for this, by the way. I'm using it's a Monoprice. I don't know the exact model number off the top of my head. But if you are tabletless and looking for a tablet, just go to Monoprice, check their graphics tablets, because they're actually they're pretty good. And I think they even have one that's kind of a Cintiq-like now, which is significantly more expensive. The one that I'm using was only about $50, which is fantastic. It's way cheaper than a Wacom, and I think from the review that I read that made me take a look at it, it actually has less latency than a Wacom does. Alright, I'm actually going to try. Just going to switch over to ortho. Front. I'm going to get rid of the cube. Bang. That's maybe going to be a mistake. We'll see. It'll work for now. Anyway, just enough to smooth that, get that in. Alright. Yeah, I think that's all I need to do with. Alright, so now that I've got my ear flap more or less in, go crease, go smooth stroke, and we do the primary helix, I think it's called. That's probably a little closer to the edge than it needs to be. I probably should have zoomed out a bit. Yeah, I always get this wrong a little bit with as far as ear proportions. 'Cause I think that earlobe is a little too big. So, I don't know if I can make this work. Oops, whoa, that's way off there. Alright. Nope. Okay. So yeah, we have kind of the off the beam there. Alright, but yeah, so primary helix kind of starts near the center of the ear as far as I can figure, and then just goes around. So you carve that in, and then this is going to maybe seem a little weird, but then I don't think I need smooth stroke on right now for that, because I just needed to get that curve going well, and then sort of crease that in. And then basically what I do is I go to clay and I subtract out just this whole center section, and it's not super smooth doing it this way, but I don't think crease is strictly necessary. And one of the big things that I think really, in my opinion, that kind of helps the ear feel like an ear is just digging in. It's getting that little nub there defined. So like subtracting out and then just digging in an ear canal. In my opinion, that once you do that, then almost immediately you can sort of smooth that out. And I'm going to switch over to the blob, subtracting on the blob brush subtraction is like super effective for getting that ear canal shape going on right there. You can smooth that out, and then, but yeah, I mean, it almost immediately starts feeling a little bit more ear-like, at least in my opinion. I think really pull that in a bit with the clay subtraction and smooth this out. Go back to the blob brush and really just pull that in. Does it have accumulate? It does have an accumulate. Sweet. No. I don't know. I didn't do that before. But yeah, just like really digging it down. Just really, for me anyway, I think then you can kind of pull that up and pull that out a little bit. And smooth that. Smooth those parts. And it's just, it starts, just that part there, just it really starts to me to feel a lot more like an ear. And then if I go clipping through, then you can see how deep that ear canal goes, and you can almost sort of imagine that there's that would eventually connect to an eardrum, and there would be nerves and a brain in this cube somewhere. Yeah, it's just a quick look at the wireframe. Other thing that I would really like, just as a sculpting thing, would just be a scale brush for sculpting. I mean, I know, well, I mean, it doesn't even really work. If you switch over to edit mode, which I'm going to do right now, and if I were to just select all of these and scale them up, it would go all crazy. It would be impossible just to scale up just the ear here in the center of this cube with a topology like this. So something where I could just have a brush where I could just surround the thing that I want and then scale it up would be, I think, super duper handy. So now that that form is sort of defined, what we gotta do is go back to the clay brush and go back to subtracting out this, and this is the part where where I start really kind of having a lot of trouble, because I mean, I can grab this and pull it back, which actually works pretty well now that I'm doing it. What do you know? I'm discovering a new method in the middle of trying to record my old method. Let's pinch that up to sort of solidify the form there. Do some more subtraction on the inside here. I figure some of the imperfections are almost desirable because, you know, imperfection is organic. can obviously always go in and just kind of smooth some of that out. No, I don't think that's deep enough. Another thing I want to try, so I'm gonna mask this interior here. Just that line right there. And then grab. Just pull out this section a bit. Yeah, see, that's one of the things that always gets me. Right there. Alright, do it from here maybe. It'll work a little bit better. And whoops. Didn't want to do that. Strength. And stop it. Keep pressing control instead of shift for doing my smooth. Alright. Nope. Did not want you. Get rid of the masking. Just smooth that off. Yeah, that's not bad, I don't think. Not actually. Grab. Just round this. Not quite like that, but. Okay, I'm still in perspective. Good. Alright, actually, the thing I want to do is not grabbing it. Let's just build. No, this would be a good use of the inflate brush, wouldn't it? Yeah, I think that's a little bit better. That's obviously still got some issues. Alright, and then what I want to do is need to put a crease on just the interior here. This is going to look a little not quite what I want. So, you know, alright, let's go back to that instead. Let's go. I'm going to try to do the rest of this form there. So again, back to clay. I'm just subtracting out. Around. I'm basically trying to get that weird sort of fork. But at least in my ear anyway, I mean, it doesn't seem to be the case in a lot of ears. Just as far as, you know, sculpting and stuff, like the upper branch of this fork is a lot smoother on my ear than it has been, than I've seen in some other places. And we can crease that up a bit. Actually, that's actually looking not bad. I think it's actually looking a bit better than the last one that I did. Sometimes just talking out a process helps me figure out the best way to do things. Smooth that out. And this is gonna be a little weird maybe, but if we just build up around here. So creasing back down that, yeah, that kind of gives me that edge that I'm looking for. Smooth the top here. But yeah, we've got that sort of rim. That goes on. See, it's one of those things. I don't want to get that crease further in. Because technically, like, at least from here up to here, that fold is shown on the back of the ear as well. But actually sculpting that in is really hard. Not really sure how to do it, frankly. It's another thing that, hey, if anybody's got any hits or tips, because again, I mean, this is something that works kind of well. This whole process is something that sort of works for me, but it's very far from perfect. Another one. There you go. Sort of interior rim. On the ear like that. And then switch back to clay and build that back up. And then we can pinch that. Nope, that was weird. Got a little artifacting there. But yeah, it starts to look okay-ish. So this part of the ear is one of the things that I have the hardest time with. It feels like that needs to be like that, and then you kind of have this sort of knob here. And I'm watching tutorials and stuff. A lot of people seem to really favor using the clay strips brush for stuff. I obviously don't really use it that much for anything. I don't dislike it. I think sometimes it has some cool effects, but I just haven't found a huge use for it, and I think maybe that's because I've never sculpted with real clay. I mean, really, this is sculpting with Blender is pretty much the only sculpting I've ever done. So, other than in elementary school. And I got this weird crease in my earlobe, which I don't think I actually. This is kind of an old picture. And I think I had some sort of zit going on in my ear right there that was kind of messing. It made my earlobe sort of fold up in a weird way. Alright, I'll do that. Let's do that now. I don't really like the way that works. Okay. So I'm not going to try to reproduce that, but I think getting, oops, that's not clay, this is clay. Getting some of these other things going on. I gotta dig into the ear rim here. Other sculpting feature. This is actually as good a place. I think it's another sculpting feature that I would like, and I don't know if any of the like sculpting softwares that big 3D sculpting softwares like ZBrush or whatever do this, because I don't really have a whole lot of experience with them, but I would love it if detail size for dynamic topology, instead of it being a screen pixel thing, some sort of setting to do it as a percentage of brush size, I think would be really super useful. But that's just me. I mean, I assume somebody has to have thought of doing that and decided against it for some reason, or I don't know. But it just seems like it would be that. It's like, because if you do that, the percentage of brush size for sculpting brushes, and then combine that with the like projected brush, and the whole thing with the projected brush actually projecting onto the surface. I mean, it would only be when you're using area plane, but I just think I can't imagine really why that is not a thing that Blender does. I mean, if there's some sort of plugin or option that I'm missing that'll do a projected brush, again, let me know in the comments, because I would like that a lot. Okay, actually, let's pull some more out of here. Another thing, kind of want to build this up a little bit onto the thing here. Because this little branch is kind of lower, and I can't tell in that reference, and I could probably just go Google another picture of a human ear and that would tell me. But yeah, it's not, where it branches, it's not really on the same plane. These are kind of lower there. And I can smooth that out. And that looks, that's too straight, clearly. So I'm going to try. Grab that and kind of pull that over. That arc a little bit. Can't tell if that's really the way it would arc. And that's, nope. That grab is, I do have a lot of trouble figuring out the best way to use grab brush. I don't know what it is. Crease that in. I really want to get that a little more defined in there. Grab this and pull it back some. Because it's sort of, and kind of this overlaps where this kind of joins into the thing, as far as I can tell. So I'm gonna do that. Let's see that. Oops, that's clay. My undo stack starts to slow down a little bit. I just want to crease that in. I know I said that I don't actually really have that weird crease in my ear there, but I still feel like there should be some more definition. That's a little more than I would want, actually. Let's undo that a lot. Yeah, undo stack is really slow. Probably the recording is making it slow down a lot too. Yeah. Hand hurts. Alright, let's just see if we can just smooth that out and see if that'll. Yeah, I think that'll be better. Just grab brush and pull that in a little bit. And smooth it again. I mean, it doesn't look quite right. It is. It's still really just a huge earlobe, which is weird. Crease. Let's just lightly. Get that form. Try to get that form in. Is that it's kind of I do have a lot of trouble with that. Oops. Let's undo that. Hands are killing me too. Alright, let's just smooth this out. Smooth the top here. Grab that up. Now. Don't like the way that worked. That's basically, I mean, that's pretty much it as far as process goes. I mean, this is the thing that I already said that, but yeah, that squeeze really drives me nuts. Whoa, lag. Lag can really screw you up while using the grab brush. Especially if you don't have steady hands when you pull up your pen on your tablet. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. And that's 37 minutes, kind of quick sketch, ear study. I think one of those things might help me just figure out if there's something I missed somewhere. And obviously, sometimes recentering the camera gives me a real pain in the ass for me. Let's just finish that crease there. Oop, grr. No. There we go. better. And let's just grab that. Hang on. Mask the rim here, and then grab that. Sort of pinches that back out. All right. I mean, that just seems to me. I mean, that seems to me to be good enough for. I mean, if I were to do a, as far as establishing forms to do retopology or something. I think that would do okay. So you kind of want to. Another brush that I have trouble with, twist brush, because it never seems to work the way that I would expect it to. Yeah, I mean, what does that even do? Nothing as I can tell. I mean, that just seems entirely pointless. But yeah, okay. Object